Hey, welcome back in Occupy Democrats, and it is a fantastic Friday. And why is it? Because Donald Trump just keeps on losing. Oh, yeah. In this breaking story, he lost bigly. And if you agree with me, that makes it a fantastic Friday. Be sure and subscribe to the channel because in this breaking story, Donald Trump pushes the envelope, obviously. And commonly too far because, I can do whatever I want. You remember when he continued to say this? And I have an article too, where I have the right to do whatever I want as president, but I don't even talk about that. Tyranny. It's a thing called Article 2. More importantly, Article 2 allows me to do whatever I want. Tyranny. Article 2 would have allowed me to fire him. Yeah, he likes to keep on saying that. It's just not true. So, very simply, Article 2 would allow me to do tyranny. I could have done anything I wanted. I don't even bring it up because we don't even get there. Absolutely. I have Article 2. It gives me all of these rights, tyranny at a level that nobody has ever seen before. Yes, he'll continue to believe that because he's got his boy, Deputy Chief of White House Staff Stephen Miller, running his mouth saying this. Well, that's the right word to use. Of course, judicial tyranny. This is a judicial coup by communist Marxist judges against the laws, Constitution, and democracy of the United States. And yet, in recent times, not as much as first 6 months, Donald Trump is consistently starting to lose. And Ty Cobb is correct. The Supreme Court did go too far. But yes, I think this was a, gross abuse of power. History will not look finely back on this when you have a man who frustrated the lawful transfer of power in an effort to preserve his own legacy and stay in power. Oh, there's more. Let me ask you about the Supreme Court. Of course, gave the president, not just this president, but any president, broad immunity from anything considered official acts. How do you think that ruling plays out in a Trump presidency? So, I think that decision has gotten really undue emphasis as a, political decision as opposed to a purely constitutional decision. And he's right. In reality, we've understood that the president had immunity from official acts. What we didn't understand was whether or not that would include criminal immunity. Now we understand that it does. Constitutionally, that makes some sense. There was a line that had to be drawn because the jury had to be instructed on the differences between a crime by a former president and lawful acts. So they had to make a decision. They had to draw a line and they had to say where the line was. Now they may have gone too far. I think personally they went too far because in this fantastic Friday, Donald Trump losing breaking story, his big seditious, unlawful threat to elected officials regarding their stance on the military, disobeying unlawful orders. Oh yeah, check this story out, because he lost again. Here it is. Flurry of receipts. Ex-Trump official says courts just vindicated Dems. He threatened. President Donald Trump just lobbed death threats at a group of Democratic military veteran lawmakers for reminding the troops they are required to refuse illegal orders. But then a series of courts hit him in the face with precisely the reason that reminder was necessary. Former Trump administration Homeland Security staffer Miles Taylor wrote for his Defiance Substack on Friday. The Democrats in question, which include Senator Alyssa Slotkin, Democrat of Michigan, Representative Jason Crow, Democrat of Colorado, and Representative Chrissy Houlihan, Democrat of Pennsylvania, put out a video this week stating that the Uniform Code of Military Justice requires illegal orders, like an order to shoot unarmed civilians, to be disobeyed. Trump hit back on Truth Social by first demanding they be arrested, then writing, seditious behavior punishable by death, then retweeting another user who said George Washington would have hanged them all. Despite this, wrote Taylor, rather than unify and repudiating the vile remarks from the president, Republicans immediately echoed Trump, daring Democrats to name one illegal order anyone in Trump's government had been asked to carry out. Some similarly accused Democrats of sedition despite the lawmakers merely telling government workers to comply with the law. This was a big mistake, he continued, because within 48 hours, a flurry of receipts arrived. On Thursday, Taylor noted a federal judge ruled Trump's orders deploying the National Guard to take over law enforcement in Washington, D.C. exceeded the bounds of statutory authority, which came shortly after other court rulings striking down deployments in Memphis, Portland, and Chicago. This is now the second court in 1 week finding Trump's domestic troop deployments illegal. But that's not all, he said, because at the same time, a new report revealed Trump's Justice Department overruled a military lawyer who warned lethal strikes on ships in the Caribbean suspected to be carrying drug traffickers were illegal extrajudicial killings, and a grand jury is investigating whether the DOJ's criminal investigations into Senator Adam Schiff, DCA, and New York Attorney General Letitia James involve people illegally impersonating mortgage investigators. While all this is going on, Taylor added, yet another federal judge escalated a contempt probe into illegal deportation flights, and analysts at Just Security published findings that Trump officials have ignored 26 court orders so far this year. In other words, the lawmakers were right, wrote Taylor. The Trump administration is putting federal employees in an impossible position. They're asking them to do things that the courts are easily finding to be illegal and unconstitutional. And then they're threatening those employees not to come forward. Those Democratic lawmakers, he concluded, were not criminals. What they did was not sedition. It was not treason. It was American. And the past 48 hours proved they were absolutely correct. I've said it on multiple occasions. I'm going to say it again. And I understand what Donald believes he learned in his first term and why he has come out from the word go-swinging and playing this second term the way he has. Set his age aside for a minute. He's just a guy who's lived his whole life as a dictator, and he expects it, and he demands it, and he wants you to bend the knee every day and twice on Sundays. So I understand why. But part of his problem, whether it's Doge, Elon Musk, and whether it's all of the pushing he's done in ICE and the absolute illegal should be barred activity of Pam Bondi and the DOJ, doesn't matter. What he's done is he's done so much so fast that it is now catching up with him. And I bet you in the next 60 to 120 days, you're going to see a lot of judges, a lot of courts, and potentially even the Supreme Court push back and push him back into place because Article 2 doesn't let you do whatever you want. You guys like and share the video and stay frosty. Have a good weekend.